Welcome back to the broadcast. A little bit over delay, but all the same, we're here as we take a look at the political scenario in the country. And I'm sure there's nothing much to say because we're only counting days. And I mean, those ones that have taken sides have already taken sides. Those ones that have, decided that they are undecided, well, are at that very moment where everyone is trying to woo them. And we are looking forward to see what plays out tomorrow, the last day of campaigns, as these key contenders find themselves into the city. A bit of troubles as to what venues they will occupy as they speak of the people. They speak to the people of the city to get them wooed to vote for them. But then again, we wait to see what will play out, that is tomorrow. But yes, countdown to the 2022 general election, the 9th of August, slated for Tuesday, and Kenyans are all set. The IBC says it's all systems go. They have prepared themselves amidst the court battles that they are facing right now. One of them giving Right Honorable Raila Odinga more of a win, as of course the court orders IBC to use printed list of voters alongside the electronic kits that is on election day, and then inside the arguments for and against the two system and what the decision means for Chebukati. Remember, initially the IBC had said they won't be having a voter register at the level of the polling stations, but then after this request by the Azimio and Kenya side, then they said they will have that, but they will only have it in use in the event that the KIMS kit do not get to work, and that is KIMS kit number 1, number 2, number 3, those ones that are available to the very latter, and that is the only time they get to make sure that they get off the register. But as it is, the courts speak otherwise. And so as I get to engage the gentleman that I'll be having this morning, we welcome you to be part and parcel of the conversation. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. That is how you get to interact with us. Let's sample some of these comments that you'll have dropped us as we continue with the broadcast. And the gentleman that I'll be having on set this morning already on standby, they were here very early. And that's the reason why we have to tell them poorly for keeping them long. But all the same, the show continues. Dennis Nthumbi, governance expert, is with us this morning, as well as Kabala Kile, the very first time he finds himself here, National Deputy Chairperson of Narc Kenya. As we get into this tight conversation, I know these are two sides that are looking forward to garner this presidency, and I mean also have proper representation across all the other tiers of governance. That is the governor position, the senatorial position, woman representative position. We also have members of parliament as well as members of county assemblies. And so it is in the best interest of every other side to make sure that they get as much numbers as possible. And so as we speak about the preparedness of the IBC, we also have this aspect where Deputy President William Ruto alleges since the plot in press briefing, and we have seen him crying foul as to the events of the day today. And Deputy President William Ruto has launched another scathing attack against President Uhuru Kenyatta, accusing him, but of course without providing material evidence of planning to disrupt the general election set for next Tuesday in Raila's favor. A story captured on page 12. Whether it's crying wolf, whether it is valid and substantiated, this is a question of wait and see. And therefore, without further ado, I think it would only be fair that I allow the gentleman to say jumbo to us this morning as we also get to this point. Or better yet, let's take a short break and then we come back with more.
Okay.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different...
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday. Watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
All right, a bit of a hitch there. Apologies for the same. We get to the conversation, as earlier mentioned. Kabala Kile, National Deputy Chairperson of Narc Party, or Narc Kenya, is with us this morning, as well as governance expert Dennis Nthumbi, as we decipher on these few days that are left for us to get to the general election. And Dennis, thank you so much for creating time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Last week we didn't have you, right?
No,
it's a pleasure to have you.
And I was here, I think, when late night show. So
on a late night show, yeah? Yes. So at least that's the reason why we didn't have you for the morning one, but we're glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Karibu sana. Kabala, thank you so much for creating time.
Asante sana.
Karibu sana. You meet a person wa Kenya Kwanza. Huyu ni diehard wa Kenya Kwanza. Hata si tafadhali. He does not mince his words, yeah? And here you are, so you have to be set to defend the Azimio One Kenya Alliance to the core, right? In this particular case. And so we have only 3 days to the election?
Yes.
Yes, so much is happening. The Right Honorable Raila Odinga takes this home in terms of whether we're going to have a register, physical register for that matter, and whether they're going to be used in tandem with the KIEMS kit. You have pretty much proper knowledge on the KIEMS kit and how it operates and everything.
Right.
Was this necessary? Do you suppose that the court then comes in to frustrate the operations of the IBC based on some of the rulings that they make?
Thank you very much and good morning, viewers. It's indeed a good day. 3 days to the national exam. That gives us a new beginning. From where we sit as Kenya Kwanza, we have taken this home at 63%.
Okay.
We are waiting to defend that win. On the 9th of August, Kenyans are decided that the next presidency that they want is for William Samoei Ruto. And they want to send our colleagues home together with the president so that they can rest and see how proper governance is done and how to put money into people's pockets, how to advance democracy, how to advance prosperity, and many of the things that is indeed the Kenyan dream. I believe that nation, as usual, is up to their funny antics, which is terrible and unfortunate journalism. And
but this is not what the courts declared.
This is not the interpretation. I am an accredited trainer on matters of elections and by the National Democratic Institute. And even yesterday, I finished training of observers across the country, all the 47 counties. The law provides for what it is that we call a complementary mechanism. And the complementary mechanism then is what the court was interpreting. Whether the complementary mechanism sits within the KIEMS kit or outside KIEMS kit as a physical register that is truncated. And I think it was just a mere interpretation, technically. Now, the KIEMS kit is essentially what is supported by law. And then if the KIEMS kit fail, then clerk number 2 sits with that register. And so there's nothing grand, there's no win, it's just a mere interpretation. From where we sit, according to the presidency that IBC has set on all the by-elections, on all the elections that we have done, there's no KIEMS kit failure. KIEMS kit have never failed. Because when you get to the polling station, you meet the queuing clerk, you get into polling station, you meet your presiding officer, then you meet clerk number 1. And clerk number 1 is the one that does the identification and the verification. They identify you via your ID or they identify you via your passport. And then the verification now is by means of biometrics. You understand? So you put your thumb, and if for some reasons that your thumbs cannot be seen because of the nature of your work or whatever it is, then the KIEMS kit in itself has a complementary system that we call the alphanumeric system. What is the alphanumeric system? It's even on my phone. So what I will do, if technically I go to my phone identifies me via biometrics. Usually just by looking at my phone, it will open. So if I want to call somebody, I will have to go to the phone book and type that number. That is the alphanumeric process. So they will go and type the name. If they can't identify you via biometrics, they will identify you by your name. And also, that's not the only identification. When you get into the polling station, your queuing clerk will direct you in that polling center to the specific polling station where your name is posted at the door. If your name is not at the door, it technically means your name is also not on the biometric, the KIEMS kit, technically. And so the complementary system comes when the KIEMS kit fails. And there has never been a record where the KIEMS kit has failed. Failure of the KIEMS kit has not been the presidential petition that we had in 2017 was not a failure of KIEMS kit. It was that there was no network within the polling station. By law, you transmit either within the polling station or the constituency tallying centers. So what are they going to do? IBC will do something simple. The KIEMS kit because by law, only the presidential 34A, form 34 is transmitted. There's no other form that requires to be transmitted. And then that transmission, it goes into what we call EDMS, the electronic data management system, at the end of the day. And so it's sent to the constituency and to the National Tallying Center. Okay. If that fails, because the KEMS-KIT attempts to send it thrice, in full view of all agents, once it is copied as a phone, once they do that, and then there's a green light that comes, whether it sends or not. If it does not send, then the presiding officer then should switch off the KEMS-KIT so that it does not pick network along the way and send outside of the polling station. Okay. And then they will switch it on in the constituency tallying center in full glare of everyone, and then confirm that the form has been sent. So I believe from where we sit, IBC has taken all rationalized judgments that sit within its regulations, that sit within policy and law, to safeguard this election. And so we must understand that this is indeed reckless journalism by nation. And I saw wrong interpretation to lie to Kenyans that the first means of identification that you will get is a truncated physical or manual register. The reason why we moved from that was because the physical register was subject to manipulation and was subject to fraud. And so we went on a two-step process. What was a two-step process? Identify, verify via means of biometric. And I believe that is the safest way that we can run this election. It is where the law safeguards us. The functions of the court is to interpret the law. And they interpreted the law as it should be interpreted. To
play the devil's advocate, they do not say that it will be the register that will be used. They say at least alongside, make sure that it is there, and therefore perhaps do verification of the KEMS, and if need be, proceed.
No, this is, look, Raila wins big as court orders IBC to use printed list of voters.
Judge orders IBC to use.
It means
together. So
it means that the register alongside.
And then it's gonna be.
No, that's wrong.
All right.
It is electronic, then printed.
Is there
electronic, then printed. So this is reckless journalism.
Well, let's allow Kile come in, and let me not act as though I am defending my very own. But I hope that you've had the privy of checking on, or you've had the advantage of checking on the ruling and what it is that the judges then would declare. What does this kind of ruling mean? Do you suppose then it has been articulated differently from what the judges then would have declared? And I mean, how much of a plus would it be in the event that such plays out?
To us, it's a constitutional win.
Yeah.
Because it now then gives, according to Article 38B of freedom of to vote. So I think because there were a lot of hiccups, and especially when it comes to technological failures in terms of identification of the voter. So let me take you through the process, how the manual register is important to us as Azimio. So when you get to the polling station, yes, there's a physical identification first, which my brother here has said your name has been posted. So the clerk calls out your name, looks at your ID, looks at you. And then second stage, you go to the biometrics. And if the biometrics, you're there, they are then concurrently cancel your name on the voter register, which IBC initially didn't want to have that voter register. However, what happens if they don't find you in the voters register? Now this is where the manual register comes in, because if you remember when you were being registered during the BVR registration process, there was a manual book that was being filled, where after all your details have been taken, either your passport or ID, name, age, when you were born, you sign on it. Now this is what they call the black book. Now that's the manual, the manual registration that we're talking about. Because when you were transferring information from the BVR to the KEMS-KIT, to the electronic. So you found that there are certain voters that were not transmitted to the KEMS-KIT. So and the voter register is printed from the KEMS-KIT. So as our argument
which is which? It goes from the register to the KEMS-KIT, or the KEMS-KIT to the register?
KEMS-KIT to the register.
KEMS-KIT to the register, yes. For purposes of clarity, yes.
Yes. So what IBC was proposing was that there's no need of a physical voter list that comes from the KEMS-KIT. Now we were asking, how then can you now show that you have cancelled the name of the individual that has come to vote. Knowing that, I believe you've seen the audit report that has come out, knowing that there were over 500 that are fake accounts, 14 returning officers that were given, that had the authority to transfer and even edit voter register. And you know, sometimes back IBC said that there was some irregularity in where voters were transferred. So our case was that what happens if you come, yes, you physically have the ID, then your biometrics fail, or your biometrics pass, but you're not on the voter register. That comes from the KIMS kit, and you had registered. So we were saying that do not disenfranchise this voter. Let's now have a complementary manual list that's generated from the BVR, that it came in and in. When they're taking your biometrics, they're physically writing on your details. So that's why we say that it's important for us to have the manual register, because when it happens that the technology fails, then what do we do next? Do we take the voter home, or do we give him the right to vote? All right. So for us, it's not a win to Azimio, but a constitutional win. Yes.
Okay, and I mean, this is already out, and therefore we cannot delve much into it. We can only wait to see what plays out on the 9th of August. I know you'd want to say something more.
I think it's important to clarify.
You
know, the Elections Act, under Section 44, the law says provide for an integrated electronic electoral system. So that is the law. And how does that system come in? The system registers you. When you're being registered as a voter, it's via electronic means. Then the system at the polling station identifies you and verifies you. And the same system is essentially what is a transmission. So the law is specific about this. And why did we bring that about? We brought that to medicate issues of fraud. So this is a safe net to us. And the safeness to us is that's the only way that we saw it possible. Through all the commissions that we've had, through all the chaos that we've had. In fact, the last time Raila Odinga was against the register.
Yes.
This time he's for the register. So what happens is that this is a man who will cut the law based on how it suits him, at the end of the day. So because we don't like that, today you're like that, today you're blue, tomorrow you're green, the other day you're like this. What we are saying is that let's stick to the law. And the law says provide for a complementary system. And that system was there. In fact, by and large, IBC have never quite opposed the fact of the aspect of having a manual register. The manual register, Chebukati said it will always be there, truncated, sealed, not opened. They have never used it. They have never seen any use to use it, because the KMSK, the Kenya Integrated Election Management System, is in itself, has the right capacity, never failed, never disappointed, and in every center, because you have one polling station. And by the way, the easiest thing is this. By law, the law saw that even if we have this system, cap the number of registered voters per polling station to only 700. So it doesn't have too much data.
There are no chances.
And one of the interesting things is that turnout is usually 85%, 95%. So you're not even going to have those 700 guys there. So what we want to do for the safety of everybody, and I like the fact that as young generation, we have to protect democracy from any kind of injury, is that the KEM system by law has never failed. The truncated register would be there with clerk number 2. Before, the work of clerk number 2 was not quite defined. And you have your ID. The ID is what identifies you manually. There's, you see, if I print my contact list here, you understand, it won't miss. And that is what is posted on the door. You understand? So if you come and see you're not on the door, the queuing clerk will be able to direct you where it is. But we are happy with the work that IBC is doing, and where we see gaps and holes. As Kenya Kwanza, we will write to them, we will consult with them. And we believe that democracy is sequential. In this election, it will tell us on areas to expand and areas to reduce and whatever it is that there is. But KMSKIT so far on aspects of verification and identification, it's technically never failed.
All right, well, but there's no harm in making sure that we are
because
safe.
It will always be there. So,
fair enough.
So fair enough.
All right, so
But
we
to
shelve
be-
that conversation. Kile, allow us to take a short break, a quick one, and then we come back to you.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, aangalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business. Farming. Tasty Wednesday. Fitness Thursday. And Feel Good Friday. With amazing DJs, celebs,
Waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different
broadcast, and we have Kile as well as Nthumbi as we take a look at the last laps, 48 hours of the campaigns. Kile, you had some submission as we get into this conversation of the last laps. The Kenya Kwanza team, cries foul that wamenyimwa space hapa kwa city. I don't know whether you have secured.
No, we have a court order, so we've secured.
Okay.
It's been secured, yeah.
Fair enough, all right.
I wanted to clarify that IBC did not want to have that manual voter
Initially
register
they had,
printout,
yes.
from the KMSKIT.
Okay.
So ours was, then how do you then secure that you have cancelled this person from the database? Will you give this the clerk rights to delete the person from the database? Because that ours was just a physical and manual visual confirmation that this particular individual that has come has been removed. You see, then another one was also if you miss from the KMSKIT, and the way IBC had said that there's no printout of the KMSKIT, if you miss, what then happens to you? That's why we insisted that let's have the black book that we call the manual, and that's what to us is the complementary. The voter register is not the complementary. Voter register is KIMS. Ours, the complementary, is the BVR register.
Okay.
Yes. So that's what we see as the manual.
Okay.
Yeah, and the auditor, KPMG, have audited and showed us that we were very, very lucky in getting this.
But then again, the reports of KPMG who have hugely shown lots of discrepancies as to the performance of the IBC, notable discrepancies. How then can we say that there's that confidence on how it is going to manage this, as Kenya Kwanza side would say?
First and foremost, the report came out on Wednesday. We don't have enough time to go through the mitigation features that IEBC has put in place. But however, in terms of just having to believe and trust, and also having this manual register being there, we have more confidence in terms of our voters voting and no one being disenfranchised. And also, and it's unfortunate that the recommendations that KPMG has given will come into effect after the elections. We would wish that the auditing of the register should be a continual process, because even right now you can register, but at the constitutional office, but you can't. But if you register, you can't vote for this election because they closed. So we were asking, why can't they just be keeping updating the register as we go on, quarterly, biannually, or annually? Because once this manual register has been audited, it's closed. Next time it will be open is 5 years from now.
Is it so? Is it so? Is this process not always ongoing? And perhaps, Dennis, to ask you this, is this process of registration not always ongoing on the IEBC office, that it's closed until it's 5 years?
No, I'm saying the manual register.
Okay.
Yeah. Once people have already been registered, it goes to safekeeping. Then it will be audited or added again when we open registration of voters. Yes. So to us, it's a plus, but we feel as if, because even in the report, we've seen the table of content had 159 pages, but what's been made public is only 47 pages. You see, so we're still
not so sure. It's still not so clean and clear.
As to how IBC is viewing the situation, but in terms of going on with the vote and the elections, yes, we'll go on with it. We are confident because of manual register that has been allowed. And so I believe we'll work properly.
All right. And I won't ask, much on this, because then we'd want to understand that these not valid reasons or problems or concerns that are being raised at this very hour. But then again, let's get into the conversation of the campaigns, the very 48 hours. Just how much can this bring a change, and especially to those ones that are undecided? I don't know whether there's an existence of the, undecided voters. Professor or Dr. Ojwang argues there are no undecided voters, that deep down, someone really knows whom they're going to vote. It's just that you will not come out to articulate that. And I think it's from the culture that we come in from. That is, most of the times this is your vote, and therefore should be guarded and should not be said to everybody. Long gone are the days where, people would say that I'm in Kenya Kwanza and I'm in hiding. Today we're coming out to speak, but not everyone has the confidence to do that today.
Yeah. It's just, I think, to clarify on, first of all, on matters audit. There was a legal tiff between some what we call section laws with the Public Procurement Disposal Act. There was a bit of contestation when IBC picked the fund that they wanted to audit, so it wasn't done within the constitution timelines, but it was done anyway. But there was a preliminary audit report that was released, because the register has to be audited by law, but Kenyans are required to check your voting details via electronic means, because the registration is electronic. You don't have the time to check your names through a manual register, so that makes it easier. And plus, we're a nation that is electronically savvy. I think one of the most electronically savvy nations in the world, you understand, at least in this country, M-Pesa penetration, whatever, we are far. We're a nation that is informed, and it's very easy to do that electronically. So I think we have to give IBC the slack and understand that this is our elections. They are our elections. This is our independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. This is our nation. And so we have to fix what needs to be fixed, and support what needs to be supported, and not be seen to fight what furthers our democracy. And therefore we must support IBC, and where we see issues, then we must know that this is ourselves having a conversation internally rather externally. Based on whether a voter, we realize that this election, more than ever, what we call voter volatility is at its highest. The voter is very angry with the president, very angry with Raila, very angry with everybody in Azimio. And indeed, they have noted that the high cost of living, the issues that we have in this country, much more especially for the last 5 years, have been downgraded and assaulted by everybody in Azimio, and they sit in an exalted place where they don't care whether Kenyans live or die. And so essentially, much of the support that we get in Kenya Kwanza is a general agreement that everybody in Azimio needs to go home, and everyone in Kenya Kwanza needs to come on board so that we can liberate this nation. But essentially what I'm saying is that there's something that we call the protest vote. When you look at the elections in 2017 and when you punch in the data, you will realize that some people don't vote, yet they registered. It means that there was a will to vote. You understand? At the point that they were registering, but the reason that they did not want to cast their vote is because they are not yet in agreement with some of the things. And then you realize also there's what we call the Sonkonization of politics. Why Titunization of politics. Essentially, we call them the protest candidates. They don't belong to the political class. You understand? They don't belong to the status quo. The voter will use them to punish the status quo. Somebody who does not agree with Uhuru, does not agree with Raila, does not toe the line, cannot be told what to do by these people. Somebody who will stick to the voters. You understand? And now, by virtue that Kenya Kwanza has Sonko in Mombasa, who essentially runs one of the second biggest voter bases in Mombasa, and that's a Kamba nation, technically, you can be assured that Raila has lost for life the Kamba, the coast block.
Is it so?
Because in 2017, I'll tell you why Raila has lost all his traditional strongholds.
Sonko wasn't you know, part of Raila the other time, even in Nairobi.
No, he wasn't.
Still, yes.
But in Nairobi, he garnered more votes than all presidential candidates.
But then again, of course, yes, technically, that's for sure.
So when you look at the Mombasa vote has two interesting things. Number one is the only county with a race issue, interestingly, because of the Arab fact. Number two, you have the Mijikenda with the largest voter block. But they don't vote together. It's amalgamas. You know, you have different interests there. Then you have the second largest voter block. That is the Kamba nation that votes as a block. You understand? And they have been upset for a very long time. And that's the reason why they prevented Sonko from running for governorship in Nairobi, in Mombasa, because Sonko would have taken it by 6:30 in the morning. You know, the polling station is opened at 6. By 6:30, it would have been Sonko.
You think so?
100%.
What happens to the rule of law?
So no, it's not. It's no. I'm talking about democracy. The rule of law is people vote what they want to vote. Now the interesting is that in 2017, the first election is that Raila had 3 traditional voter blocks, and I'll tell you, and the fourth one, which was here and there. The first one was Western. We call it the third party vote. That third party vote was delivered by Mudavadi and Wetangula. Today, that block is on Kenya Kwanza. He retains a segment of Busia. And we are seeing, you know, perhaps in Trans Nzoia, maybe he will get about 40%. We are seeing that. I was there the other day. I was with the 12 counties on that day, on that side. And then we have the next block, which is the Coast Region. And the Coast Region, the block that he had was Kilifi and Kwale, and then Mombasa. The voter turnout was not as good as Western, because the voter turnout in these areas was about 65%. We don't understand why the dynamics, but we studied. Some of those dynamics were interesting dynamics that were introduced within the last minute. Today, the governor Kilifi, including 90% of all those are vying, are in Kenya Kwanza. In Kwale, the governor was Jubilee, is in Kenya Kwanza today. In Mombasa, all other statistics are speaking of that voter basket being in Kenya Kwanza. All those were not Ruto areas. They were Raila areas.
He's lost his strongholds. That's what you're saying.
Nairobi, it's definitely going to be Sakaja at 7:30 in the morning. Sakaja will win. And he will bring that voter basket into Kenya Kwanza.
Is it?
So the only area that Raila will remain with is a small section of Kondele. And maybe some parts of Nyanza.
You know, I'm curious to understand
Nyanza today has more independent candidates than those in Azimio. When we talk about Mount Kenya, 98% is William Ruto. So where is Raila's vote coming from?
Dennis,
I almost can't find it. I think my brother here in this studio is the only voter.
Let's allow Kile come in on this very note. And I mean, you didn't need to defend your side. I am almost tempted to do so, because then I'm trying to imagine what is the relation of the vote, you know, a different aspect of the vote, say the gubernatorial vote, in comparison to what is likely to play at the presidential vote. I mean, Wajakoya would tell you today that perhaps he has zero. He's fielded zero.
Wajakoya is Raila's voter. He won't even vote for himself.
So
he will
are
vote for Raila.
Well,
he has verbalized
he,
it.
No, he said that was not what he said, and like you have rightfully put it, sometimes he can be taken out of context. And so, do you suppose that what happens at the gubernatorial position, at the member of parliament position, at the senatorial position is likely to play out up to the level, or perhaps this time around we're going to witness some essence of discrepancy? And I mean, the voter is so enlightened today. That's the reason why many would even go to vote for independent candidates while they have specific presidential candidates that they would prefer.
No, going back to what you said, answer yours. The statistics that he's putting out changed. All of that changed after the May 16th. When Honorable Raila picked Honorable Martha Karua.
Okay.
Yes, all that changed.
That is your point. That was your
before that. When you look towards the end of last year, if you look at the polls, Ruto was ahead. Now, immediately after Karua was chosen on the 16th, Tifa had an opinion poll that was done on the 18th. Now, Raila, in Mount Kenya region only, showed that he was 8% in popularity. After the 16th, he rose to 24. That's 6 percentage points. The first of it. You see, that's the first gain by just choosing Honorable Martha Karua. And he says we've lost in the coast. I want to correct him again, because before maybe it was shifty, but after he picked Honorable Karua, we gained in the coast, we gained western, we gained in Nyanza, even more.
How?
Yes. So you can look at the statistical Tifa.
And May will go 18th. Against the polls. What I don't understand is that when the polls favor them,
I'm just using the numbers first.
Yes.
I was just using the numbers first to explain that, because numbers don't lie. People lie, but numbers never lie, especially accredited pollsters. So I believe in terms of in the popularity aspect. And remember, after the 18th, after Karua was chosen, Honorable Raila has never fallen short of, has never come second to Honorable Ruto. So that shows you the matrix has changed. Yes, maybe in certain areas you'd find we, especially in the Mount region, maybe we'd lose, as Azimio, we'd lose in other seats, the MCA, the gubernatorial, or the senatorial. But in terms of the presidential, we are ahead. Oh, we are doing really good.
And
okay,
I mean,
then you say,
and you see this. It's very, very important to argue it this way, because if you're doing well at the level of the presidential, you understand how important it would be for you to have proper representation to govern.
But let us, for now, we're working as Azimio to first secure the presidency. Let me give you an example. You are saying,
that's a danger.
You are asking. No, we're all Kenyans. We'll and Azimio believes in cooperation
and
negotiation, So we'll be able to do this. We've been there. We have experience of working there. The experience of Honorable Karua. She's worked in all three arms of government, presidential, executive,
Don't you agree with what Dennis says, that somehow what plays out at these other levels is always technically what will reflect to the level of the presidency, based on how we have voted?
People now are not voting 6-piece. People now know what they need and how they'll get it. So they've seen that in the presidential, yes, we see Azimio as the best partners, but maybe in my MCA position, and this is what we're seeing mostly in the Mount Kenya region, we're doing really well in terms of the presidential vote, but in terms of other maybe slots, positions, we are not really as strong as UDA. And as I finish, you were asking if the undecided voters have reduced. Yes, they've reduced. Looking at the
polls again.
Yes, because before with Tifa, like they did on the 18th, there were undecided voters stood at around 14%. The one that was done by Ipsos the other day on the 2nd, the undecided voters are at 3.8%. So yes, people, as we get closer and as the campaigns become even intense, you find voters deciding. And that's how now people like Wajakoya are losing from 5% now standing at 2.9. So, and also as politics intensifies, I'd like just to note that let's as leaders be careful in the words that we say and we speak, knowing that the volatility that in terms of voters during this time, I've seen your presidential candidate individual who sits in the National
Stronghold.
Security Council, an individual who is in the government, stating alarming,
You guys are faking those
alarming
videos. The matter is with
statements before even having, without exhausting the constitutional channels or even negotiational channels. For example, you can just make a call to the Minister of Interior or the PS. You can as well go and lodge complaints to the NCIC before now going to the public. So that, because even the information that we're being given is half-baked. You're telling us certain people have been meeting. Okay, we need more information, more facts. What have we been meeting about? When did they meet? Where did they meet? What did they say? What did they plan?
But then again, you have seen Karanja Kibicho saying that some of these things are just allegations. For instance, he says he cannot remember the last time he went to Nakuru County, 2 years perhaps back. Sometimes you want to ask yourself, this is a person who sits at the security docket. Nakuru has been having troubles with the question of security. How can you confidently say
I don't know
that
who
2
takes
years down?
Karanja Kibicho seriously.
I
wouldn't cite him.
Why would we not take him
Anyway.
seriously? He's the PS for Interior.
No. You can be the PS for anything, but who cares about what you do? It's
We
not,
do.
It's not beneficial to the country. But let me explain. You know, Azimio accept that from gubernatorial seat to MCA, they don't have any latitude, but then they claim that they have a suspended presidential vote, which is a lie. The truth is that today, William Ruto has 80% of all elected members who are sitting in parliament today.
Okay.
William Ruto runs the only party that did nominations.
80% is a bit on the high.
No, but I'm telling you factually, just look, go to Hansard or print the,
He enjoys quite a magnitude, and that we appreciate.
Hold on, let me give you facts, I'm giving you facts. Go to parliament today and print a copy of all sitting parliamentarians and copy of all sitting governors and all sitting senators and all sitting MCAs. 80% of them are William Ruto. You know, he has had, even in debates in parliament, 160 MPs.
Yes, we have seen that.
So he has that following, you
high.
understand? And that shows that he runs 80% of the country today of elected members. Let me give you another sample set. And this is a fact. He runs the only party that did nominations in 32 counties successfully. Azimio didn't even do that. Azimio only managed to do in 8 counties. And the rest were what we call direct tickets and this negotiated democracy and many of these things, which is not democracy anyway. It is the will of Raila.
No, I'm keen to ask, let me ask this.
It is democracy.
How many parties, make Kenya Kwanza, and how many of them make Azimio la Umoja?
I think as we sit, we have about 10 parties.
10 parties. Azimio has about 20-something parties.
Which ones are those?
And I mean, these members of parliament that are in parliament today, you know that a majority will not come back.
Uhuru Kenyatta told his cabinet secretaries to create parties. Some of those parties are owned by Matiang'i, they are owned by sitting cabinet secretaries.
But there are 26 parties. There are about 23 parties
let's be
there.
factual.
Yes.
Today, Jubilee, the people vying under Jubilee are 1% of the country. The people vying under Narc Kenya is possibly like 3%. I don't even know of 3 gubernatorial candidates that are vying with Narc Kenya. You want to have.
He is the chair here.
You guys are not allowing me to speak. So I want to give
But you see, Dennis, we have to be factual. He's here.
No, he's here. He will say. He will tell you technically
Yes.
that there is. What I'm saying is that Azimio is ODM. Nothing more. Because tell me when, in which public rally did you see a Jubilee candidate speaking, even in Nairobi? A Narc candidate speaking, other than Mother Karua at the end of the day? You understand? So ODM has hoarded the entire rallies because Azimio is nothing more than ODM led by a retiring Jubilee president.
And that Kenya Kwanza is not UDA?
You understand? No, Kenya Kwanza, we have strong parties. When you go to the entire Western flock, at the end of the day, the parties there that are speaking, even the candidates that are leading, are ANC and Ford Kenya. When you go to Coast region, it's different at the end of the day. You have Kingi's Party, PA, and many others. When you come to Nairobi, there's a democracy. Nobody has been told, step down for this person or whatever it is. There's democracy at the end of the day. When you go to the ballot, you will see ANC, you will see UDA, you will see all those, and you decide. I'm not afraid of intra-democracy. But specifically, I want to decode the lie that Mother Karua brought any numbers into Azimio. Mother Karua was defeated by rejected, spoilt ballots when she vied for presidency.
Okay.
the spoiled ballots were more than her own votes. She was beat down by Abduba Dida. You know, a man that we don't even know his policies, when she vied for presidency. That is not enough. She was defeated by a novice candidate in the gubernatorial seat called Anwa Igoro. At the end of the day, she has no record.
Well, did not
of
be
ever winning.
Misplaced.
And I said, why are you? Let me. Those are facts I'm talking about.
Those are facts, yes. But
And then she comes from my area. She has no record of even filling Kanguru Stadium, even in a football match.
I mean,
she
political
has
matches
essentially
change.
No. She has no following, even where she comes from. You understand? She has no following whatsoever. She has somebody with no record of even ever filling Kanguru Stadium that is 10,000 capacity. And I'm telling you, her record of not winning. Then where are these numbers that she brought to Azimio?
Hold it
She doesn't even have a national following. So when you say that Mother Karua brought numbers into Azimio, where did she get those numbers?
As a matter of fact, others would argue that Mother Karua is more of a national figure than actually Mount Kenya.
You're talking about somebody with a purported national figure, which we don't know, who has been absent in public service for the last 13 years, working in abroad and moving here and there, showing up for elections, gubernatorial and losing. You're talking about somebody who fought John Githongo, the public ethics PS, who Kibaki brought into government to bring ethics and fight and enhance the capacity to fight corruption. You're talking about somebody who defended Atur Magarian when media was under assault.
You know,
so what I want to say, no, we have facts in here.
We have to take a short break.
I'm talking about somebody whose record is fallacious, whose past. The only thing that Mother Karua said, you know what? I'm a multi-millionaire today because of inflation.
Hold it right there.
So what I'm saying is that Mother Karua's record, both on numbers and both on public service, are not just fallacious. What she brought on board into Azimio was she was qualifying the lie that Azimio consistently
I'll allow us some extra minutes because I'm sure Kile would want to counter that, but that should be after this short break. Okay, after this break.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And recycling wastewater in your household.
What happens to my waste from the washroom, the solid waste? All that can break down.
Those are just but a few. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we talk construction.
There's no alpha without an omega. There's no lead without any followers. No man is an island. We need each other. We need this conference.
We say it, we do it, we act it.
Kama una mpenzi wako, kila siku kama nilivyosema, kila siku mwishi mapenzi.
We don't toe the line, we set the standard. We don't eat the grass, we lead the pack.
As an alpha male, you're also a leader. Not to just women, friends and family, but to everyone else you've never met before.
We are the beauty, the spice and the brains. The men's conference where men become alpha males.
And you can catch us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. This is The Grind. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. T.S. Eliot.
So I decided, let me just take this up, put the teaching on hold first. Let me try see where this can go.
I mean, the opportunities are a lot.
But is that all you need? Oh wait, there's more. This seems a little too much. Let's slow it down.
You do this is something you do out of passion.
Join me, Violet Njaki, as I navigate through the maze of the increasingly dynamic business.
The register of political parties, and you'll see the people, the names of the people who are there. And as we get to the allegations that my brother has, we're not into personality politics, we're just into facts and truths. Now, one, I've already demonstrated the example of how Karua changed the popularity of Azimio through the numbers that I've given you, the pollsters numbers that I've given you earlier. Now, let me now explain how the quality of Martha Karua, the quality that she brings on the table, this quality is what now then turns into the quantity of numbers of votes, the +1 for Azimio to win this election. Let's go to experience. Honorable Karua is one of the very few that have been able to serve in the 3 arms of government. In the judiciary, she had accolades when she operationalized the Water Act that increased potable water from to the Kenyans from as lower than 30% to now 60%. The reports are there. Even in Parliament, she had a lot of confidence from the people. Remember that she's one of the very few members of the Parliament who has been voted in 4 times, showing that her consistency, actualization, implementation of projects and deeds, what she promised during the elections, and the confidence that the people have had in her. And she only was not voted for the 5th time just because she did not vie. That's the confidence she had. Look at the judiciary. Judiciary, she joined in 81 to 87 and was awarded a lot of awards and recognized by other magistrates for being fair in her judgments when they're looking at their judgments. Remember even when she was serving in the legal field from 87 to 2002, Human Rights Awards, Watch, in 91. 95, the Kenya chapter of ICJ, International Court of Juries, awarded her the best juror of the year in Kenya. These are professionals, remember. In 99, the same month, she was awarded by LSK for due diligence. Due diligence meaning that she's a person who, when she gets documents, she does them and looks at them in depth, you know. FIDA for fighting for the rights of women. Remember, just early this year, she was conferred as senior counsel. So she's someone who has experience and has demonstrated what she can do. So when you go also to credibility, also this is a quality that people are admiring, and this is what is persuading people to come to the Azimio side. And those are the numbers that I'm talking about. She's not one who's runs from one court to another because she's answering court cases. She's not one who's been found guilty for embezzling 205 million Kenya shillings. You know, so people look at her and see her track record and believe in her. Because what we are dealing now with is, how are we going then to fight corruption in Kenya? Okay. Who then is best to fight this corruption?
And I mean, questions have been labeled, especially on this other side, as to, and I mean, we have seen the allegations or the worries that those ones in Kenya Kwanza could be having lots of cases that would end up in...
Which lots of cases? I mean, we have to be careful even as
journalists. Is it not factual? Even as you ask questions. I mean, you must have seen the papers yesterday, and it's not about the papers, but generally what has been articulated and brought to the fore. First of all, the Matiang'i reports on the possibilities of us having, you know, about 40% of leaders that have questionable integrity. The EACC, as well as the civil society, coming out to tell IBC, please do not clear these names. And we know all these names have found themselves, you know, or a majority of them.
So you actually believe that the police should table a document and the police should pose it as important in terms of dealing with crime?
You tell us.
No, you should tell me, because you're the one who is citing that as evidence.
At this point,
would a cabinet secretary in charge of interior be the whistleblower when you have the entire police force to investigate?
Why not?
Why would a president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, tell us that he's losing 2 billion shillings a day?
Why not?
I can tell you why. Then it means that the perpetrators are your family members or people amongst you. That's the reason why you're unable to deal. And then we have seen how the criminal justice system has been used for expediency. But we know that Azimio is campaigning using KEMSA funds, the 2 billion shillings a day loss, 720 billion a year loss. Those guys, all of them, including the party leader, have brand new cars, brand new choppers. The kind of financial fluidity they have certainly cannot be born out of inflation.
They have donors.
But, well, they have donors like the BAT corruption case that gave 50 million, and then it was like, we don't know.
It was 7,
you know, but let's stick to the facts, what are the lack facts. Now, Raila's only notable stronghold is Kondele and some parts of Nyanza. Mother has no record in terms of filling Kanguru Stadium ever. She has never mobilized any vote beyond 48,000. Even in our own hometown, where we come from, the only record that we know is a tarmac road towards our home. And we have many issues with her. When you look at her record in 2004, when she tabled an amendment in Parliament seeking to remove Meraria from an official report, she was expunging Meraria from the Anglo leasing scandal that implicated him on his 2.7 billion involvement. We have one bit after one bit. She never did anything to give Kenyans the golden bag scandal money. She was the Minister of Justice. In fact, she fought.
And that's why she resigned.
She fought. No. She didn't resign because of that. We know why she resigned.
One of the
Let me tell you something.
Which is a noble thing, you think?
She fought Edward Clay. She fought the British because of housing Gedongo. She called Gedongo a national disgrace because of the golden bag scandal. She called out the media for airing the story on Akenature and Mangarian. The other day, she was in Linda Katiba, now she's in Timbomoa Katiba.
And I mean, let's not even focus so much.
No, I'm just telling you that what you're saying in terms of a proper public record is a lie. I just wanted to demonstrate that there are instances that mother had the power to return back money into government. She failed. In fact, she fought the one who was returning money because Kibaki hired Gedongo as the PS of ethics to demonstrate, number one, to Kenyans, that he will fight corruption. Then to demonstrate to our donors at the end of the day that he has the will to fight corruption. Who was in between? Who was in between that? It was Mother Karua. She was in charge of a committee. Allow me to finish, because every time I speak about Mother Karua, you get jittery.
No,
I'm telling you.
Far from that. You see, we cannot focus much on the personal. I mean, there's plenty of time. There's so much to speak about.
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish 1 minute.
Make it very brief.
And I'm telling you something. Every time I talk about Mother Karua, there's jitteriness.
Less than a minute.
The thing is this.
We have focused much on Mother Karua.
She was in charge of a committee. She was in charge of a committee.
Yeah.
That was investigating the sale of Grand Regency. She expunged Kemunya from that at the end of the day. So we have evidence that Mother Karua has never stood for integrity. And that's what I'm saying. In conclusion, let me tell you something. In conclusion, it's absolutely important to understand that history has graduated William Samoei Ruto as the most competent public service. Why am I saying that? In a report that was published,
we need to
allow me. In a report that was published in the year 2010, based on his financial, fidelity on the CDF, his Eldoret North constituency and Mvita constituency were noted as the best consistently.
Okay.
His report as Minister of Agriculture, a report published in 2010, it says that the former agriculture docket has been rated as the best performing ministry in a government audit released on Monday. The audit covers Mr. Ruto tenure at Kilimo House for a period of 2008 to 2009. When he was the Minister of Higher Education,
fair enough,
at the Ministry of Education, Ruto did away with the backlog of admission to universities. It is accredited that he ran the best ministries. These are reports that are available.
Okay, fair enough. And let's not focus much on these individuals.
In terms of best integrity on delivery, in terms of public service,
the Kenya Kwanza side,
Ruto stands as the most astute person who has the best public service record.
All the best. All the best.
At the end of the day,
let's be fair. Let's be fair to Kile. Let's be fair to Kile for a moment.
Raila Odinga and Mother Karua stand as people who have messed up this country in a grandeur manner.
All right, and because time is moving pretty fast, and would have wished for us to look at the 48 hours of the campaign, but then we won't focus much on that. Of course, the allegations being made by Kenya Kwanza's side and the fact that they're not confident about the involvement of the state in this talk of the conversation. But briefly, yes, without focusing much on the individual or the persona of Martha Karua or Deputy President William Ruto, I think we are, at that very point where we wait to see what the vote, will be like, and whether the Kenyans then will exhibit confidence in Ruto or the other side. But generally, on this very last hour, what to expect?
What do I expect? I expect, one, the undecided voters, in terms of if there's a poll that's been done, will go down, because of people now are getting to understand their candidates, and due to the pressures, some candidates are now starting to falter in terms of what they're saying, and how they're saying, and knowing the importance of a peaceful vote in this nation. There are certain statements that we do not expect to come from leaders. So I foresee a situation where our competitors, knowing that to some extent we've hived a lot of votes from especially the presidential votes from their strongholds, will need to come out and will want to come out and rile up emotional, just seeking the sympathy vote from voters, which we are very careful, and we wish that and we commend the CS of Interior and the PS. They need to keep on updating us on what is going on. And I'm foreseeing a situation where especially Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, I'm foreseeing where we'll be able to just, as Kenyans, understand each other and not dwell in the personality context that my brother here wants us to take the direction, because to us it's about such statements are just a red herring. It's not about trying to divert attention from what are the core issues. We know the integrity and the track record of Honorable Martha Karua. We know the allegations our competitors have faced and who have been accused, and even judgments put across. So Kenyans know and they've seen. And this is a time that I believe, because in campaigns, there are two things that you need to achieve: mobilize and persuade. So you mobilize your people to come out and vote. So I also see a lot of that being done by the candidates, and that already has been achieved to some extent. But now the issue of persuasion is what now is coming up, and with persuasion is just creating a rift and a divide to show what is my difference against vis-a-vis my opponent's difference. For example, just what has happened here, he trying to create a personality or achievements in terms of what his presidential candidate done, and I'm me trying to do the same. So those are what I'm going to I foresee happening, just to create a rift in terms of just creating a clear line so that you'll be able to convince and persuade these undecided voters that you have, this 3.8%. And I call upon leaders who have this power and this following to get to persuade people to use peaceful words, not rile up emotions, and let's be factual. If you state something has happened, then don't give us half-baked information, just give us the full information. Let me be able also, when I listen to you, feel as if I've been in that meeting because I have been given enough information to make my own decision. So to me, it's going to be, I see it even going more into personality context, because that's how our politics has been done in terms of being able to persuade people come to your side. And I mean, so, and that's my fear.
How much can this achieve in this very last hour, and especially looking at these allegations that are being made by the Kenya Kwanza side?
Before it comes in, I think it will achieve a lot, because this election is too close, and that 3.8 percentage points is very big.
And that's what Dennis speaks of today can change the mind of any voter this very morning. That's what it is the Kenya Kwanza side would allege, against, the government, so to speak, President Uhuru Kenyatta, would make so much of a change in wooing those ones that are undecided. I mean, what is the
as Kenya Kwanza
motive of doing this?
As Kenya Kwanza, we are clear that at this particular time we have the win. What we're asking the Hustler Nation to come and do is defend that win. And why would the president, commander-in-chief of a country, be going around country planning on disrupting the vote? Because we have facts. The deputy president of a nation, the caliber of William Ruto, will not make a press statement to Kenya and the world when we don't have facts. We have clear facts on how the president has been planning day and night to disrupt the election. Why? Because where he stands, he has intelligence that the win for Ruto is going to be landslide, and his project has failed.
So if such is the case, why the worry? Why not let it be anyway?
If you listened to his presser, it had facts. He mentioned names specifically. He mentioned the time the meetings were done, the place the meetings were done, and the intent the meetings were done.
No.
We're talking about one of the candidates who receives briefs from intelligence, even if the president does not want. There are people in the forces, there are people in the police force, there are people in NIS who would give the deputy president this kind of intel. And I'm telling you, we have been there when the chiefs come out of the meetings and approach us in secrecy and tell us, this is what I have been given, and this is my area, and this is what I have. So we are saying that the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai, will take the weight of any chaos that happens in this country.
God forbid.
We want peace. God needs to forbid Uhuru, because what he has planned is evil. And it's not good for this country.
And don't you think this then
and the truth
weakens
is, this is not emotions. When we speak as brothers in this country and we say something is being planned against this, when there's no, that is
will not weaken the urge of the supporters to go
No. We are saying,
after all, this is
we are saying that, let me tell you something, Kenyans must be more persuaded than ever to come out and send Uhuru into retirement. Because essentially he doesn't want to go.
This gentleman.
And this is what I'm saying. Allow me, just give me requisite time with him.
Briefly, because we have to be out of this.
Mine has to be brief, his has to be long. But let me tell you something. This is what I need to say.
You're not giving me equal time. I really hope you would look into this program later on after this. You realize that you
this is what I'm saying.
Can also take time to make sure that you call the shots, which is not proper. Proceed.
We are saying something simple. We want peace and justice in this country. And we want the president to be the president. He needs to conform himself to presidential mannerisms, not gangster mannerisms. What he's doing is completely out of his scope, and he stands as the biggest security threat in this country. And we are telling Kenyans that as there's nothing good that will come from Azimio, Raila himself stands as a contradiction. And we believe that Kenya is for the living. History that they are lying about is good. But this generation must be given the opportunity to fight their fight, define their present, and shape their future. And the person who will give the youth of this country, the living in this country, the opportunity is William Samoei Ruto. And that's the reason why he is the one who started the socio-economic liberation journey. We are talking about economy today because William Ruto is the one who has forced that narrative into the campaign. And he's the one who has the plan. William Ruto has a plan for this country. We are in a bad place economically. Food rations are coming from State House. Yet my brother is flying a chopper. I'm sure maybe from here he will be on a chopper.
You also need to know that.
But the truth of it, no, I'm saying what I'm saying is simple.
Dennis.
William Samoei Ruto has the plan to liberate this country and ensure that Article 43 of the Constitution that speaks about socio-economic rights is experienced by every Kenyan. It doesn't matter whether your father was a president before or your father is the Baba Mboga or Mama Mboga, you will have respect in this country. That notwithstanding, where we are going to today, we want the president who will bring back presidential manners into presidency and give this country the decorum that it requires right now. As it stands today, Azimio is Matusi in the morning, Hasira lunchtime, Matusi jioni. Siasa ya madharau is what we are saying must end. And therefore, I am going to do a compassionate call to Kenyans. Please come out in large numbers and change this country and vote for William Samoei Ruto. He is the one who has your heart. Has your heart in this country. Thank you so much.
A plan, I would ask what plan? The successful free
Every
laptops,
Kenyan knows,
free laptops plan, you know? There's a lot that you can
That's your chairman was the president. Don't shoot him.
The brothers that you came in together, the person, you remember that there's a time when Uhuru gave his brother the country to lead, but not here and there. I'd like to remind and caution leaders when we say certain statements. I'd like to know, are you responsible in saying the statements? Have you used the constitutional channels, decorum, and even conversational? You know, have you gone to NTAC? Have you lodged a complaint? Have you gone to the police? Have you lodged a complaint? Or are you just coming out and speaking to the public, giving half-baked information and facts, with an expectation of riling up the people? You know, so. I urge the leaders to be very, and even as panelists, to be very, very responsible with our words. And I like to remind Kenyans that, listen, when you're looking for a new job, for example, you're looking for a new job, when you go to the other station, they'll ask you for a recommendation letter. This recommendation letter, you get it from your boss. So what Uhuru is doing, Kenyans as the employers, is giving Kenyans his recommendation letter about the person that they want to elect. We have 4 people who want to be elected, and Kenyans have come to Uhuru and asked the candidates, give us your recommendation letter. They are all going to Uhuru to give them the recommendation letter. Uhuru is giving people, is telling us, you know, I've worked with this person, I've known my brother for long, and I do not think he is fit to do this. So if the leader gives a recommendation letter, if the leader gives a recommendation letter, I don't see what's the problem with that, you know. And as I conclude, I'd like to conclude with a saying that goes, Theodore Herzl saying, it says, if you will it, it stops being a dream. So I urge Kenyans, let's stop dreaming of a peaceful election. Let's stop dreaming of good leaders. You will them into existence. You have the biggest office in a democracy. your vote. So when you're dreaming of a good leader and good leadership, will it through your vote. When you're dreaming of a peaceful election, will it through your actions, your responsibility, your talks, you know, what you tell the people, how you campaign, and what words you use when you're in front of your fans and supporters. So let's stop. Let's stop dreaming.
Thank you.
And will it into existence.
Dennis,
Thank you.
We have to close.
Yeah, I want to remind my brother,
seconds,
but the employers are Kenyans, not Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
The president is not. The presidency is not personal property. It is owned by Kenyans. The Article 1 of the Constitution.
He's just giving the recommendation letter. Recommendation, yeah.
The constituent power of Wanjiko. Ruto has worked with Kenyans.
Thank you,
They have
Dennis.
a good record on him.
Yeah.
Even every money, all his salary that he has earned, he has taken it back to Kenyans.
Interesting.
As the deputy president.
Thank you
and
so
therefore,
much. Thank
they
you,
will hire
Dennis
him again now as a president because he has never been the president.
Okay, all the best.
They will hire him again and they will give him the mandate to lead them and to manage their finances. The Azimio people today stand, their chairman, Raila Odinga, Mother Karua, they stand as people with a desperately
Dennis, we have to lock you out on this one. Dennis Nthumbi, governance expert, as well as Kabala